Okay, so this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so hopefully we can figure it out. Hi, hello. Okay, so hopefully we can figure out what's causing the problems, and we can get things straight. So one thing I noticed that when you knit, that your knitting is that your stitches are very loose, which is perfectly fine, but sometimes that causes some problems. So one way that you can try to help your stitches stay tighter is that when you wrap it around and you pull it through and then you take it off of this needle, you can give it a little bit of a tug to tighten it up. That'll keep the stitches a little bit tighter on your needle, so that when you get down to the end, to this last stitch, which I know that's where you're having the problem, when you get down to the end, then you take it off. See how your yarn is in the back of your work? Then you flip it over. Well, what's happening with you, since your stitches are so loose, is that your yarn is in the back, and so that's what gives you that extra stitch. And I started with 8 stitches on my needle, and so now you see I have 9 stitches. I hope you can see that. So I have this extra one right here, but that's because my yarn's not in the right place. So if you can look at it closely, you see that all of these other stitches have this little bump. This bump is actually called a purl bump, but this one doesn't have that bump. The way that you can get that last stitch to have that bump is just to take your yarn and flip it right over toward your body, flip it right over so it's in the front, and then look, there's that bump. And then look, now you have the right amount of stitches. Remember, I have 8 and you have 12. So that when you start to knit again, you have all of the stitches and your yarn is in the right place. So when you start your new row, the yarn is going to be in front of you, and you're just going to knit it all the way down, and it's going to be going to the back. So it starts off in the front, that first stitch, and then you're going to just wrap it around the back. See, here I'm at the end, so I'm going to flip it around, and it's in the front, right? So yours normally looks like that. You're just going to bring it around in front of you. So the yarn starts off in the front, but when you knit, you're going to make sure to stick it in the back. Just like that, you're going to bring that yarn around back, remember, around the back door. Okay, oop, there we go. I'm doing things backwards. And so if you do it and you discover that you have an extra stitch, say you have 13 stitches when you're only supposed to have 12, and you discover that you've done a couple of rows already. If you haven't done too many rows, I suggest that you just take it out and you start over again so that your work is straight and everything's even. But if you get to the end of one row and you discover that you have an extra stitch, like let's pretend that I have 9 stitches on this instead of 8. So you get to the end, when you have 2 more left, just stick your needle through both of those stitches, and you're just going to knit 2 stitches together. And so then that gives you 1 less than what you started off with. But only do that if you just have that 1 row that you've done the extra stitch on. Otherwise, your yarn will go, it'll go like this and like this. It'll start to look like a snake. So just make sure that when you flip your work over to do the next row, that your yarn is in the front. So yours is usually back here, and this last stitch is usually really loose. So just bring it around to the front. So you start off where you have all of the bumps, and then when you do your knitting, you'll just have right there, and it'll be around, and everything will be nice and good. So if you want to work on getting it a little tighter, when you knit that stitch, as soon as you take it off, you can just give this a little tug. Don't pull it too hard, because then it'll be too hard to move. It should still slide on your needles. If you pull it too hard, then it won't want to slide as much. So you can knit right here, pull it off, give it a little bit of a tug to make it a little tighter, and you'll notice that that helps you eliminate the problem when you get to the end of the row. If you have any questions, you can give me a call or you can send me an email, and I really hope that this helps you.